Hey everyone, welcome. This is Heather Burkhart with For Wellbeing, Ayurveda, and Yoga. Thanks for joining me today. And today's live session is a little different. I do have a new podcast called Ayurveda Without the Rules. So it's about finding a more compassionate approach to Ayurveda that feels more authentic, practical, and doable. And in today's or this week's live session, I do have some slides for you because, I feel like every year we run into this. I hear these murmurs from within our online community um, every year. And so I thought this year I'd address these anxieties over the holidays today with some slides with my top tips that I hope will be helpful for you over the holidays. So whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas or even New Year's, um, we're, my clients are usually looking for some kind of additional support and some tips in terms of how to survive and to do so with your sanity intact. So today's session is all about how to stay well-ish during the holidays. All right, let's get started. Um, and question is, can we stay well-ish during the holidays without dieting, depriving, or losing your mind? And how can you stay connected to your body, connected to your mind, connected to your gut, which is so important, as we know, for digestive health during the holidays in a mindful way that doesn't feel really forceful or contrived. So there's so many diet and exercise pitfalls during the holidays, and I want to address those too. The overall idea is how to remain mindful through the holidays, which we know is a challenging. It's not easy, but how can we stay mindful? How can we steer clear of the common pitfalls um, to survive the holidays? And one of the biggest pitfalls that I'd like to name right away is, hey, it's the holidays. Treat yourself. You deserve this. Go ahead, indulge. Um, and because our holidays are so close together, specifically Thanksgiving and Christmas, we end up having, and then there's New Year's, we end up having maybe 2 solid months of that. And that can really rock your boat. So hang on, buckle in, and we'll get started. Okay. So when we think about the holidays, are you thinking joy or chaos or stress? So, and maybe there's a trigger for both. There are some good things about the holidays, and there's some things that are not so enjoyable. So if you've ever tried to keep your wellness routines alive while also navigating cookies and parties and family dynamics, you know that that is a bumpy road. And for some of my community members and clients that have been around for more than a year or two, know this. You've been through this. We work all year round to implement wellness routines for you that help you to hopefully stay more grounded, feeling more sattvic, more clear and energized. Um, and then it's kind of a disappointment when the holidays comes around for all that for us to lose so much momentum. during that time. And so I'm not saying to double down. I'm not saying that. I think that's a recipe for burnout is for doubling down. Do you give up completely? Right? We've already covered that. Well, that doesn't work either because it becomes a pattern throughout the end of the year holidays that's really hard to break and smacks right into New Year's resolutions, which again is another, can be a really bumpy road too, right? So, how do we stop this cycle? How do we stop the cycle of um what's the word for it? Feel free to put it in the chat. The cycle of guilt and shame, this cycle of um indulging, overindulging, and then feeling like you have to diet or exercise to make up for it. So, what I'm suggesting today in our live session, and again, my new podcast is called Ayurveda Without the Rules. We're talking about breaking or at least bending some rules to save your sanity. Let me tell you, after years of doing this, um, almost 20 years of doing this myself, every year is a little different, right? So every year um, is a different opportunity to be more flexible in this area or that area, right? So there's no perfect formula. It's ever changing, and really, it's a good reminder about what our practices are, especially when we let go of them and we might miss them. And then what is it like to try to reintegrate? And I think actually that's a very beautiful and natural process and totally normal. So let me just emphasize that I am normalizing the holiday chaos that'll kick us off our routines. And then this act of returning to the routines and even reframing and rethinking them is one of the greatest gifts of the holidays. One of the greatest gifts. So remember that. And don't be too hard on yourself. And maybe if we can embrace the process as a natural, normal process, no, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You're not bad. It's another one of those curveballs that life throws us. So let's take a closer look. We're going to start with some myth busting today. And I hope this gets you a little excited because it got me excited when I was writing this. Like, yeah. Um, so here's some myths for you. And just notice how these myths hit you. I definitely felt something with this, and there's just a discord that I felt. So what do you feel? Number one, the holidays throw a bomb at your wellness goals. Yes, that can be true. And it's bad for your health. So actually, we just covered that. Yeah, the holidays will change things up. Absolutely. We're going to have some major changes, especially if you're traveling, especially if you're going to all the festivities. Yes, it's going to be different. And we go through this every year. And it can be bad for your health, but if you shift your perspective, it doesn't have to be. Okay, let's just run through these and then we'll get to the next slide and we start to reframe some of these myths. So no matter what you do, regardless of whatever you do, you're going to gain weight. You're going to go gain weight over the holidays. And as we talked about, it's this 2-month prolonged series of holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then New Year's Eve, that there's more parties and more potlucks and more food and more cooking and baking and so on and so forth. So this may be partly true. This may be partly true, but it's not a given. So just letting that go, hopefully, can release some anxiety. Number three, you need to diet and exercise times 10 during the holidays to make up for all the indulgences. I mean, if you like to exercise, I think that might be an option, but again, hmm, how does that feel? Maybe not great. You need to be extra good or else. And I feel like this comes from traditional Ayurveda, time to double down on the Ayurvedic do's and don'ts, right? Don't do this and don't do that. Don't combine these two foods. Don't eat this food at all. Um, don't eat at this time of the day or night. So can we be a little bit more flexible during the holidays? Maybe just a little. Next, the holidays are all about looking your best. It's all about appearances, right? It's how you're showing up, what you look like. Is it? Is that what people get from you? Really? Is that what really matters? Lastly, you need to do it all. Host the parties, buy all the things, and hey, if you're a fan of the British baking show, as I am, yeah, that's a big one. Holiday is bake season. And if you love doing that, if that fills your kitchen with good smells and that makes you really happy and it's something you do with family or loved ones, great. But do you have to do it all? Mm, questionable. All right, let's look at some of these. Let's turn these around and let's look at some statements that might have more truth to them. Number one, you are in control. I'll say that again. You are in control of all the decisions that affect your health and well-being. You are in control. That's important to remember. So you may feel swept up into the fervor of buying and cooking and eating and attending all these gatherings. Um, Still, the decision is yours. That's where the mindfulness is going to come in, right? It's a mindfulness practice to make the right decisions for yourself, and it can be very empowering. You can opt out of overwhelming, overindulging opportunities. So, in other words, it's okay to say no. I think no is a hard word for a lot of people, especially women who may be people pleasers like me. So it may be hard to say no, but you can quietly opt out of lots of different things, right? Hold off on that RSVP or, think about things, take your time thinking about things. So I tend to, before making decisions, I tend to put a hold on them just so I can mull them over for a little while. And I know that can be a little annoying, but honestly, I think people expect that during the holidays. We're hesitant to overcommit, and that's okay. That's totally normal. Next, exercise can be a great ally during the holidays. Great, especially for blowing off some steam, but you don't have to overdo it. So this is where these cultural norms can become, or pressures, I should say, 'cause I don't think they're normal. They've been normalized, but it's, they've become self-harms where we exercise and exercise and exercise or diet and diet and diet. So stop the hamster wheel, right? Just say no to that unless it's something that you really want to do. I remember many years ago sitting in a doctor's office and looking at a Thanksgiving issue of a wellness magazine, wellness or fitness, I forget exactly which one. And there was a whole spread about how to cook Thanksgiving dinner, like cook all the dishes from scratch and get ready for Thanksgiving dinner, and then um like weave in all the drop in all the fitness things that you need to do to keep your metabolism up. And I just thought like, give me a break. Are you kidding me? Like it's bad enough that we sign up for more than we can chew, but then to add more on our plate, like, oh, while the turkey is roasting, go for a run. While the casserole is resting, go run up and down the stairs. While it's like, you know what? I'm sorry. Remember, Ayurveda reminds us that the holiday season is Vata season. And so it's really easy to get drawn up into this Rajasic energy. So if we want more sattva, more calm, and clarity, then all of this overdoing is really just, it can be another distraction and another harm. Okay, next. You can break some rules. Yes, please do. Allow yourself some flexibility, especially when it feels hard or impossible, right? Like, um, a client was telling me recently about finishing up a cleanse and having a social engagement like right after that and how hard that was. And it was so stressful to say no. It was easier to join in, you know? So, you be the judge. You be the judge, but remember compassion. Remember compassion. When it's really hard or impossible, maybe you can break those rules. Next, the holidays can be about connection and making memories. So this is about the one that's all about how we look to our friends and family. Maybe it's more about memories and it's about the feels, how we feel. How does it feel to share a meal with loved ones and reconnect and socialize and have a good time? And we can do all those things without overdoing it. And finally, your body is resilient and you will survive. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. So it's okay. It's okay. Don't be so hard on yourself. If it feels like a marathon, you can opt out, right? Know your limits. Know your limits. Be honest with yourself. And I think, especially during the holidays, be more hesitant, more mindful, and, opt out and say no more than you usually do. And that is a practice in of itself, is just to say, am I really sure about that? Do I really want to commit? And it's okay to not know for sure, but that's also a good indication that it is a no. So when you feel a whole body yes, like, yes, that sounds great. I am there. Then absolutely. If you're if you're vacillating, like, I just don't know. It's such a busy day. That's a no. That's a no. So here's my quote for the holidays. Believe in the possibilities of the season. Believe in the possibilities of the season. So not just what our culture norms are or expectations are, but believe beyond those expectations of what your holiday season could be like. And so I might even suggest sitting down with pen and paper or your journal and writing about how you want to feel during the holiday season. How do you want to feel? and maybe it's a bullet list. And then base your plans off of that. Like, what are the non-negotiables and what are the negotiables, right? What are the big yeses and what are the maybes and what are the definite nos, right? And maybe you just have you've got a running list of the yeses and the maybes and the nos, right? So sort everything into big buckets, how you feel about those buckets, and you really only have to focus on the big yeses. Again, so open the mind about what is possible this season. You can have the season that you deserve. And and maybe it's not about doing all your practices perfectly as you would otherwise. Maybe there's a different practice. Maybe it's the practice of compassion. All right, let's talk about specific rules that we're going to break this holiday season. This really excites me too. So, number one, break the rule of being good with food. Break that rule of being the good girl. Okay. Replace that rule with be present, not perfect. Be present, not perfect. Throw out the good plate, bad plate mentality. Like, oh, here's all these bad foods for me. Here we go. Instead, combine pleasure and nourishment. And nourishment, it feels good. It should feel good. And so maybe those things on your plate are a little too rich or a little too sweet, but balance those things on your plate. Have the warm, grounding, nourishing foods and the cookie and the piece of pie, but put it on your plate and that's your plate. And it has, forget about the good and the bad. Look at it as a nourishing meal with all the tastes, salty and sweet, maybe some sour, right? Maybe some astringent with some greens. So clear the mind of the good versus bad. Rule breaker number two, break the rule of all or nothing routines. Like I have to do my 5 mile run every day through the holidays, guaranteed, full stop. Well, replace that with choose your non-negotiables. Maybe that 5 mile run. I don't know who does that, but I don't know anyone who does that. If you do that, that's totally cool. But figure out what your non-negotiables are. Like, I'm not giving up my meditation practice, or I'm not giving up my yoga practice during the holidays. That is my yummy place. That is my me place, feel good place, and I'm not giving that up. And I will pack my yoga mat. We go on the road with the kids and we go through two different homes to see family. And I just bring my yoga mat with me and I am out there in the living room doing yoga before people, right? So that's my non-negotiable and it really makes me feel good and grounded and sattvic, before the chaos ensues. So what are your non-negotiables? And you might even write those down. So what is it? Is it your 10-minute morning warm drink? Maybe it's the golden milk or ashwagandha latte. And that's it, right? Here, I've got my cup right here. So it's that 10-minute warm drink and sit. Maybe it's just warm water, 10 minutes. Maybe it's 5. Remember to keep it tiny and doable, right? Remember from our Atomic Habits webinar, tiny and doable. So important. Maybe it's at 8 minutes of breath work. For me, I do some of my breath work when I'm in the shower or after I'm out of the shower and I have a little bit of time for myself before I go out into the chaos of the rest of the house, and that's a place where I can have quiet and focus and an early-ish bedtime, early-ish. So maybe not burning the candle at both ends, staying up really late, every night of the holidays, but, you know, early-ish. So move that needle just a little bit for you so you can enjoy people's company. Or that 20-minute walk, right? That you like to do after dinner, right? And I love that idea, especially for the holidays, especially after big holiday meals, to like say, hey everyone, let's go for a walk. And sometimes it's just me. And you know what? That's okay. And it's cold and sometimes there's snow on the ground, but I don't care. I'm pack a pair of decent walking shoes. Just go for that 20-minute walk. Maybe it's a 10-minute walk. Go see the lights, right? It's a great opportunity to go see the lights. Rule breaker number 3, break the rule of overscheduling yourself. So we talked about this a little bit and replace that with one wellness thing a day, like an anchor that really helps you ground yourself. So what is that thing? It's the pause for yourself, it's the deep breaths, it's the one grounding meal, it's that soup of the day. Maybe it's saying no, right? Or I know it's so hard to say no, so maybe it's a maybe or I'll think about it. And that buys you a little bit of time, right? Especially if it's a face to face or a text, a direct text. So find ways that you feel comfortable saying no, or maybe I'll think about it, or I'll get back to you. Stepping outside for fresh air. For fresh air, I love this, right? So think of those ways to create those pauses whenever you can, because the holiday can be a lot of hustle and bustle. So the idea is to keep your nervous system strong, keep it strong and quiet, and rest or just a simple brief pause can help um, be can help regulate the nervous system. Number 4, break the rule of pushing through the fatigue. Oh my goodness. Um, I'll get this on Thanksgiving when it's like, okay, what I'm helping my mom in the kitchen. It's like, okay, push through one more thing, push through one more dish, push through so on and so forth. At some point I just need to go and sit on the couch because I've been on my feet for hours. Um, my mom's in her 80s and I have a hard time keeping up with her sometimes. So yes, when you feel the fatigue, accept it as fatigue, as you being tired, and it's okay. Let's normalize being tired and accepting that rest when we need it. So replace this with respect that the holiday is Vata season. Again, Vata energy can make us feel very depleted. So it's crucial that we take that proper rest or pause or whatever it is, going to bed a little early or sleeping in a little bit. Um, Absolutely, to sit down, to hydrate, to have warm foods, to help calm. Calm yourself, calm the Vata in the mind and calm Vata in the gut, right? So when we're pushing through, we can aggravate Vata. So when you feel tired, it's not a failure. Being tired is not a failure. It is physiology. It's just how the body works, and your body is asking for rest. This is a hard one for me too, but it's important. That's absolutely important. This is where saying no can also be helpful, or opting out. When you feel like, I really just want to put my feet up. That walk sounds great, but I just need a minute, right? Okay, number 5, break the rule of earn and burn. So we talked a little bit about this already, but it's a big one. So replace this with gentle movement you actually enjoy, like that 10-minute walk, like dancing, like stretching in your pajamas, like screw yoga clothes, right? Like that's another thing you have to do. So like just get out of bed in your pajamas and do some yoga stretching, whatever you feel like doing. And doing a nice, cozy yoga flow, no pressure, no, you know, nothing too intense because your body needs something soft, the body and the mind. So just remember that Ayurveda says that the excess movement of the holidays increases vata in the mind and the body. And so vata needs gentleness and less intensity. Just less intensity. We can have intensity in the mind too. So when we're working so hard with like getting all the shopping done and getting done all the to-do things, that can feel really intense. So we need to break those things up and spread them out into small doable tasks. We want to avoid doing marathons as much as we can. Okay, so that's what I have for big rule breakers. I'm going to send me over here. Isn't this a beautiful, like, I want this living room with all the roses and the candles, and I just love that. This is such a great little cozy spot. A few holiday affirmations for you, to, put in your pocket and save for a holiday. The first I love is I honor my body's wisdom, even in the busiest season. Feel free to jot these down. I honor my body's wisdom, even in the busiest seasons. So, even in this Vata storm, the Rajas, the going, the doing, don't forget that your body is extremely wise. And to stop and listen to its wisdom can be one of the greatest compassionate practices. So just listen. What does my body say? What does my body say is a great mantra that I love when I'm thinking about something. What does my body say? Like, yes, there's what the mind says. The mind is going to say, do it. You can do it. You can add one more thing. The mind, it's detached. The body has all the feels, right? So connect with the heart, connect with the body and the feels, and ask, what does the body want? I can nourish and enjoy myself. There's room for both. So just remember that you're nourishing yourself by spending time with people. You're nourishing yourself by doing things that you love. You're also nourishing yourself with food, but think of all the ways that you receive or can receive nourishment. Um, that has nothing to do with food, right? Or spending even. It could just be time spent in a way that you choose to spend it. How empowering is that, especially during the holidays? So you can nourish yourself and enjoy at the same time. Nourish and enjoy. Small loving choices support my wellness, even when routines are different. Small loving choices support my wellness, even when routines look different. I'll try to grab these affirmations and put them in the follow-up email because I just love these, and I spent some time on these to hopefully really, you know, align with those anxieties and nervous thoughts and feelings over the holidays. How can we calm that voice? So remember, small loving choices. I release guilt and choose presence, pleasure, and grounding instead. I release guilt. That's a great one. I love that. I release guilt. That by itself could be really big. And I choose presence, pleasure, and grounding instead. I trust my body, mind resilience. I trust my own inner strength. In other words, I am strong. I will persist. And I know how to return to balance. And I will return to balance. I have the intention to return to the balance, and I know I will get there. Trust yourself. Trust that you are strong. You are a strong person. I am strong. I am resilient. All right. I love those. So, maybe there's one in particular that you need to work with. Just grab that, make it your own, write about it, journal about it, use your own words, and make it feel really authentic. And that's when those affirmations can be really helpful. Okay, so to close today, just remember that wellness is not about restriction. I feel like restriction is a sense that makes us feel small and confined. More so, wellness is about expansion and being aware of infinite potentiality. I feel like Deepak Chopra when I say that. He's probably said that. I'm probably borrowing from Deepak Chopra. Infinite potentiality in terms of anything is possible to support my wellness, right? There's so many different ways I can do this. And think outside of the box. It's not just about like eating healthy. We try to eat healthy in the holidays. So maybe having a different idea. Holidays are meant to be enjoyed, so it's okay to enjoy yourself. Please enjoy yourself. Your job is to stay connected to yourself, to be true to yourself, to be present with yourself and what your body, mind, and your heart say, not to be tethered to a rigid plan. Not, no rigid plans. That doesn't work with the holidays. Ayurveda without rules means that you can nourish yourself and enjoy. And if you can nourish and enjoy, you can savor the season. So let's savor the season together. Let's have this intention together to savor the season, to pay attention to the positives, to the good things, to the memories and the great takeaways. Like, yes, there are going to be downsides. Absolutely. How can we release those and just say, hey, that's okay. That's totally normal. I want to provide you with a few more resources for the holidays for members of In Her Balance community. That's our online community. You can find more inspiration inside the online modules. So you'll find Ayurvedic recipes that you can try during the holidays. Maybe try a festive recipe. Look for grounding yoga practices in the yoga video library that's doing yoga with me. Look for the Vata practices. That can be very grounding. And feel free to reach out. You can chat with me through the online portal. Talk to me about your personal struggles um, around the holidays. I'm happy to be here for you and help you figure some of these things out. Sometimes they can be quite tricky. So I am available to you, available to everyone. You're welcome to shoot me an email. But if you're not already a member, please join us. Please join the In Her Balance community. We're an online community that's practitioner led, that's about leading an Ayurvedic lifestyle, but breaking some rules and bending some rules along the way so that we can lead a more compassionate, holistic life, not a rigid diet or plan that doesn't seem authentic or aligned. So we're really about authenticity and doing things that feel really good for you, not checking off the list. That's not what we're about. So please join us if you are not part of the community already. And I'll include a link in the follow-up email. And finally, I am excited about a coming up challenge, a group challenge that I like to do. This is for the community and this is for everyone. So if you're getting emails from me about our group challenge, you are welcome to join us. So the group challenge coming up in the next month is called Mindful Meals Challenge. And this is to transform your approach to food and meals as a into a mindfulness practice and how that can transform your relationship with food. So join us in that challenge. It's a 5-day challenge. There will be a webinar next month, a live webinar. Feel free to join me for that. Look for the email with the registration link. Um, and you can we'll have a Q&A after. You can bring your questions. If you decide to choose the challenge, you get daily reminders about what each day is about during the challenge. And it's just in time for the holidays, so you can practice, put some of these mindfulness tools to practice before the holidays hit. So that is coming up next month. I hope you join us for that. I'm super excited. And I wish you peaceful holidays. I wish all people and beings on this earth peaceful holidays from me, from her well-being, Ayurveda, and yoga. I hope you are well this holiday season. And I am grateful for you. I'm grateful for our community. I am grateful for all the work that we do together. That's so important. Changing lives, one life at a time. Thank you so much for being here. Happy holidays.